Hello to all of you. We are looking forward to welcoming you to campus. We are experiencing, as you know, a once-in-a-century occurrence with this pandemic. And as a School of International Affairs, we are looking to you as people who will be able to face this challenge and work on critical issues. The picture here we start with is actually a bricks and mortar photo, but it's a school that is about people, and you're among those people. But I do want to start with a place-oriented photo because there is an important element of place, and that we are looking forward to having you on site either partially or fully within the coming months. And so the School of International Affairs has up on the sixth floor, a unit called Graduate Student Services. And this office is comprised of international education, academic advising, and career development. The story of this office is that over the last 3 to 4 years, we really transformed our offering. And it is a good thing that we did, because we're in a time now of such national and global uncertainty. Having this structure really provides a ready-made community for you when you join us online or when you're joining us in Washington. So the idea really is to put all three of these divisions, international education, academic advising, and career development, under a single roof, and from there be able to address across each of the areas questions that you may have, offer resources that you may need, and to pull it all kind of together. So I'll be telling you about, particularly today, the career development side in a few minutes, because we really do believe that you are people that we want to equip. We had a 91% employment rate last year. I'll tell you all about that, and we're feeling like we can face this new challenge and the virtual challenge and all of that. We'll be working with you. But before I get into that, I thought on a rainy day where we are here in Washington, a good way to start is with international education. Since in the short term, it may not be the option you go with, but in the long term, it will be really a critical factor, and it's a thread that runs through what we do. So let me turn it over to Patrick, and I'll be back in a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Jim. And as Jim said, my name is Patrick Murphy, and I work in the Graduate Student Services Office here at the Elliott School. This is my 4th year at the Elliott School. And I can tell you that Jim and all of our other colleagues in the Graduate Student Service Office are so excited for you to be considering the Elliott School. I'm so excited to have you with us here today. So, the Elliott Advantage, International and Experiential Education. What we have is exchange programs, which many of you may have done in your undergrad. And those are full integration during a semester abroad, so that could be fall or spring semester that you cannot do your first semester abroad or your last semester. So you're looking at second or third semester if you want to go abroad. We do have some funding available for study abroad programs. The Vedetto Family Award is a $5,000 award available for one student per year to study abroad at Waseda University in Tokyo, Japan. And many of our students who go abroad combine their study abroad experience with an international internship, either the Freeman Foundation Grant or the International Internship Grant. The Freeman Foundation Grant is for internships solely in East or Southeast Asia, and that is up to $6,550 in funding. And the International Internship Grant is up to $3,000, and that is specific to other parts of the world outside of East and Southeast Asia. One thing that's important to keep in mind, too, is that the Freeman Foundation Grant and International Internship Grant can also, in many instances, be combined with other awards or fellowships that may exist. So, for instance, you can combine the Vedetto Family Award for $5,000 if you want to go study at Waseda University with the Freeman Foundation Grant to give you over $11,500 to study abroad for one semester in Tokyo. And a good thing about our semester abroad programs, though, is that they allow you to transfer back up to 10 credits toward your program, so you're able to complete a quarter of your degree program overseas, should you so choose. We also have short-term abroad programs. They're led by faculty members either during summer or winter or spring breaks. Those change throughout the year, and when we see you at orientation, either virtual or in person, that's something you'll be learning more about is the opportunities for that year that will be available. And it's another way for you to go abroad if maybe you want to spend some time overseas, but don't think that you have the time to commit to a full semester with an exchange program or our internship grants overseas, which require a 10-week commitment. So programs at a glance, just for some of you who may be wanting to learn more about some of our specific program offerings. Our most popular exchange programs are with Sciences Po in Paris, France, the Graduate Institute in Geneva, Switzerland, and Waseda University in Tokyo, Japan. We have more than 15 programs to pick from, and it's a great way to improve your language skills and to set yourself apart. As I said earlier, you also have the ability to complete up to a quarter of your academic program while you're overseas, which is a great way to combine international experience, language acquisition, professional development experience, should you so choose to do an internship grant, with the ability to make significant progress toward degree completion as well. As I mentioned earlier, we have the Freeman Foundation Grant, which is up to $6,550 for a 10-week-long internship in East or Southeast Asia, and the International Internship Grant, which is up to $3,000 in funding for a 10-week-long internship in other parts of the world. One thing that's very common for students to do for internships overseas, many of you may be interested in going and working for the US government, either for the Department of State maybe, or USAID. So interning abroad is actually a great way to gain practical international experience. Many students do internships overseas that we help fund with the Department of State at an overseas US embassy or consulate. And for those of you who might be interested in development, there's many development opportunities available. We have a growing number of business-related internships that are overseas. There are even some think tank and security-related internships overseas, specifically for Freeman. And if these are of interest to you, feel free to schedule an appointment with myself, or later in the summer, one of the career coaches. We're happy to help you get a jump start on this. We know that many of you are probably kind of feeling a little bit nervous about going overseas due to what's going on with coronavirus. But you know, GW is tentatively sending students overseas for the fall semester, depending how things are looking with coronavirus. And I think, you know, summer in particular of 2021 for internships overseas, by that time, knock on wood, there should be a coronavirus vaccine that we can all get. So it'll be a great opportunity for you to go overseas and get funding from the school to help offset those costs. And this is just an example of a student who interned abroad. This was when the International Internship Grant was $2,000 instead of $3,000, but he received $2,000 to intern with the US delegation to UNESCO in Paris, France, while completing a semester at Sciences Po. And he was in their International Affairs program. And then another example of a student in the Asian Studies program who studied abroad at Waseda University in Tokyo, Japan, and then also did the Freeman Foundation Grant. So he got $6,550 to help offset his overseas experience. And with that, I will turn it over to Jim, and then I will be back to you later for any questions you may have.
At the Elliott School. It's a journey that involves thinking on your part. Right now you have a dream, something has drawn you to international affairs, you've been thinking about how you want to serve in the world. And so what our mission is really is to work with you all the way through, starting right away today, and thinking of ways that you can make your mission complete, you know, in your life. So we have something called the Comprehensive Action Plan, which helps you to think through with both your career coach and your academic advisor where you're headed, how you want to set up your courses, how it all fits together. We encourage you as you go through your 2 years with us, or if MIPP, a 1 year. And the idea is that you test out your interests with internships or jobs. And so that by the time you complete your 2 years, you're fully on your way to the career of your dreams. So it's a very interesting time right now with the global public health crisis. We have the best people at GW to learn from, to help you to sort of give substance and direction to your dreams. So let's take a look at some of the things that we offer. Career coaching is something that we're very proud of. We have 3 career coaches who can help you. Each one has a special area, and so you would be assigned to a lead coach who has background and knowledge of a particular area. And then beyond that, if you choose to go to see some of the other coaches, you can do that. We have the grants that Patrick was telling you about. We have a lot of networking. You know, I co-authored a book on networking, and so I'm a big believer in our online cafe last Wednesday. We talked not only about networking in DC, but networking online, how that works. Because in the kinds of global jobs that you're probably interested in, it just is so important to begin building relationships. And if you look over in the participants list to your right, if you have one there, those people are all part of your initial network, even before you go to Elliott. So we like to help you think in that way. Site visits, we have trips. We've had trips to New York, to Chicago, to Seattle. Here in DC, we have actual visits the week before orientation to local employers. We're figuring out how to do the virtual piece or 1 foot on site before we get the semester started this year. But all the way through, the idea is to give you access to the best professionals in public, private, nonprofit sectors. Some are alumni, some are just top-notch professionals, faculty, adjuncts. All of us bring some international expertise that we want to share with you. PMF is a big thing in the fall, Presidential Management Fellows applications. That's sort of down the way after you've been with us for a little bit in most cases. Handshake is our medium. We work closely with the rest of Campus 2 in order to make sure that you're getting access to everything that would help you. So as soon as you get Handshake access, you can see lots of opportunities, and you can schedule appointments with us in the Office of Graduate Student Services. Beyond that, also, Handshake is just a good platform for resources, for everything that you may need along the way. So it's good to get that under your belt as we get toward the fall semester. Comprehensive action plan I was mentioning, alumni networking, mock interviews, anything related to the search, to communication, to being a dynamic networker and communicator. We work with you on professional development workshops. We have regular email updates. We text. We're doing our online cafes. We've got a virtual engagement plan now, so we're very excited to share all of that with you. Dinners with alumni, it's a sort of emblematic, it's sort of a metaphor for how we work. We believe in connecting you with, for example, our last dinner with alumni was with an alum who's at Booz Allen Hamilton, and up to 10 people were in the room, but just nice meal, conversation, that kind of thing. So it's not sort of a stilted presentation. You really get to meet people and talk with them. So it's something we try to build as a sense of community, not only with current students, but with alumni. And I hope you'll take part of that. Career Cafe is every Tuesday at 4 o'clock. We've positioned it at that time because a lot of people are just coming through to start their evening classes. But we're coming up with other options like the online cafe in the interim, and perhaps carrying into the fall semester, which is every other Wednesday at noon. Okay, so this is kind of how we see ourselves in the coming era as far as employment. In case you didn't know, everything has changed in the blink of an eye. We've had a strong employment record, 91% in our last graduating class. There's just all kinds of ramifications of COVID-19, and we are staying with them. We're in touch with our APSIA colleagues. We can help you to navigate virtual opportunities. We can really equip you for something that is unprecedented, we've never seen before. But as I say, to echo what I began with, is you are needed in this market. You are people who are very important to where the world is going now. Just a quick pie chart of where we had students gain employment in the last graduating class. Largest chunk is public. We do, World Bank, the State Department, Commerce, CIA, all those kinds of things. Multilaterals are a little bit different, but I guess there's also, yes, under public, private. We have everything from city in New York City to booze to, there are a good representation from that sector also, and then of course nonprofit organizations. Here are some example employers who come to campus and with whom students have gained employment. We have very close relationships. There is something about being on-site in Washington, but in the time if you are flexing and you're not here all the time, we can help connect you. This is really a hub for your career, the hub for access to opportunities throughout the world. Here's just some examples of career development events that we've had. We have a partner relationship with the CIA and a regular presence and collaboration. City is an organization that not everybody thinks about, but we had a site visit to them in New York City, and people realized that they really are sort of the State Department of banks. They carry on international relationships and really interesting places to work. A lot more going on with consulting, with organizations that focus on project management, research, policy. All of those we have contacts with, and we can help connect you to. Fellowships. Of course, we don't offer ourselves, but we know who does, and we can refer you to the appropriate channels. We do work with you on your own development in your career and professional development, whether it's your internship abroad, the Myers-Briggs, LinkedIn. If you're an international student, of course, we want to help line you up with what you need with the International Students Office. Here are some organizations that we have site visits with. Here's some example events that are coming up. Actually, we're past April 2nd now. The next is today, General Dynamics Information Technology virtual job fair. So very appropriate to where we are in the world. Department of Homeland Security, students, cybersecurity, a couple of things coming up in the next month. June 24th, McKinsey and Company. So once you're in Handshake, you'll be able to see all of them, and we are not slowing down as far as the types of employers and opportunities that are offered. Okay, so that's it basically. Why don't we open it up to any questions that you may have?
Hey, Jim and Patrick, I think to make this easier, because I know that Yadira has been kind of powerhousing through a lot of the questions and answering a lot of students' questions, but I think some of them could be great if we could provide a little bit more clarification. So I'll start with, does your internship location have to be the same as your concentration? For instance, if I'm planning on focusing on African studies, would it make sense to pursue the Freeman internship?
I mean, and I'll let Jim give his perspective after I finish, but I've worked with a number of students who may have an interest in Latin America as an example, but then and maybe they're interested in international development in Latin America, but then they'll go do a Freeman internship in, say, Vietnam with an international development organization. And then I think what a lot of our students gain out of internships, aside from the fact that it kind of broadens their horizons and lets them look at the world from a different angle, is that they are able to pick up transferable skills that maybe their interest is Latin America, but if they can go do what they want to do in Vietnam, they can bring those skills back to the United States and use those for when they're applying for a full-time job after they graduate.
Yeah, that's right. If you look at the State Department, for example, the Foreign Service Officer is in India, and then they're in Argentina and somewhere else, and so there's a certain core of just competence that we'd like to have people cultivate. Of course, if you are interested in Africa and you've never been to Africa, I would encourage you to go to Africa. So it just partly is circumstantial, but certainly there's no limitation.
Great, thank you. The next question is in terms of career coaching. Can you speak a little bit more on the aspects of career coaching and what students get out of that resource? And she asked specifically, would this be a good resource to use if you need help narrowing down your interests and understanding the possible career paths and skills and experiences that are needed to reach your end goal?
Yes, absolutely. And many of us, the international affairs professionals, have had to go through this process because international is such a broad term. It's an adjective. And so a coach is somebody who works with you and meets you where you are in first getting specific about what you're most interested in, and then finding out opportunities that are available to you. So yeah, that's what we're all about. In the comprehensive action plan, you're sort of led through some steps of what you think you're interested in, and you certainly don't have to know right now. You don't have to have it all put together. So we are presenting you with an opportunity for a sort of a professional relationship to go through your 2 years in examining, what your skills and interests and values are, and then what kinds of employers you'd best be advised to explore.
Great, thank you. I think we have time for just one more question. And for right now, I see a really good question here that I think Patrick can help answer, or both you and Patrick can help answer, in terms of studying abroad. And it's in terms of whether or not it is having the capability of studying abroad at a non-exchange partner school, and can you transfer a full-time semester's worth of credit if it's not a partner school?
Sure, yeah. So the GW-wide graduate transfer policy is that you can transfer in up to 6 credits. The Elliott School makes an exception to that transfer credit policy for our exchange partners, specifically Sciences Po, Waseda University, the ones that are listed on the website. So specifically in the chat box, they're referring to a university that the Elliott School doesn't have an exchange agreement with. And in those instances, you would only be able to transfer back 6 credits instead of a full semester's course load. Now, with that said, we're always very supportive of what students want to do, and supportive of enabling students to do what they want to do. So if that's of interest to you, you should schedule an appointment with myself or one of the other advisors, and we can help you with that.
Well, thank you so much, Jim and Patrick. Oh, Jim, did you have something to add to that?
No, that it wraps it up, I think.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you both for tuning in today and providing this really helpful informational overview of both graduate student services at the Elliott School and specifically international education advising. If any students tuning in, we did not get to your questions, or if you have questions after today, please feel free to email us at esiagrad@gwu.edu, and we will be able to help answer your questions or connect you with Jim or Patrick if they can provide any more clarification to your questions. But once again, thank you so much to Jim and Patrick for tuning in today and providing this informational overview. I hope you both are doing well and staying healthy.
You too, and best to all of you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, everyone, for coming today. We really appreciate it.